Hey everyone, Kelly Dean Allen here. Today, by request, going to show you guys how to play I'd Love to Change the World by Alvin Lee and 10 Years After from 1971. Now, a couple of things before we begin. This track is a mix of acoustic and electric. However, I'm going to show you all the acoustic parts on this guitar instead of switching back and forth. That'll at least give you all of the chords and the notes that you need. Secondly, the solo to this one, while pretty famous, is not structured as a note-for-note type of solo to teach and or to learn. It's just Alvin going off with a flurry of blues licks in the E minor pentatonic for about 30 seconds or so. That's it. I'm going to give you an approximation of this solo and my closest recreation to what he was doing here, rather than note-for-note perfection. Like I said, it's just not that kind of solo. There's also loads of fill lines throughout this track, and we're not going to get into every single one of those either. However, I'll give you a general idea of what he's doing with all of these short fills that are scattered throughout this track. Good? Then let's get started, shall we? All right then, I'd Love to Change the World, Alvin Lee and 10 Years After from 1971. We are in standard tuning for this tutorial, and like I said, the opening of this one is acoustic guitar, but I'm going to show you how to play it on this guitar because I don't want to keep switching back and forth. And it goes a little something like this. So we're dealing with 5 chords here: E minor, G, G chord with the open B. Do not double up your fingers here on the 3s, right? A minor, C, and the only chord maybe a little bit out of the ordinary here, B7. Now it's kind of this little backwards D shape here on the A, D, and the G string, right? 2, 1, 2, open B, B7. So we're starting in the E minor, and you're just going to arpeggiate the notes out of that E minor from the low E down to the G. Then you're going to go open E, 1, 2, 3, drop right into the G chord. And then you're going to arpeggiate the notes out of that G chord, skipping the A string on the way down. And then back up to the G. Now before moving into A, we're going to grab this 3rd fret of the low E and then drop into A minor and arpeggiate the notes out of that A minor, 4 middle strings, right? Then you're going to go open A, 1, 2, 3, drop into C, and then arpeggiate the notes out of that, down the 4 middle strings, back up to the G, and then you drop into the B7, and then just arpeggiate those 4 notes, 4 middle strings, and then you repeat. You repeat that twice at the very beginning, and then we drop into the first verse. Same chords, but now in power chord form, 3-finger power chords. E, G, A, C, B, back into the acoustics. Back to the power chords. Second half of the first verse. C to B. And now we're into the chorus. We're just going to repeat this 4 times. And after you repeat it 4 times, we drop back into the power chords again. Second verse, right? A, C, B, and then back into that again, right? It just back and forth, keeps repeating. But during the second verse and the second chorus, there's a lot of little fills that he's doing, little 3, 4, 5 note fills in the E minor pentatonic. Little licks like that, right? 12th fret position of the E minor pentatonic. Little licks like that. Little licks like that, right? Just little blues licks. licks like that, you know. Little licks like that. Little licks like that. Some like that. Right? Little licks like that. Just basic little blues licks, right? He's kind of soloing little licks like that all throughout the second verse and the chorus. And we're not going to dig into each and every one. You can just kind of improvise little fill lines, right? But we are going to have a look at the solo. Now, like I said, this is a pretty loose solo. It's all in the E minor pentatonic. And it goes a little something like this. So that is the solo. So it starts with this repeating lick that we're going to play 3 times. So that's the first lick right there. We're going to repeat that 3 times. Just 12th fret position of the E minor pentatonic, right? Bending the 14, 12 onto 15 of the B, down to 12 of the high E, onto a full step bend of the 15, right? Repeat 3 times. And then after you repeat it 3 times, we're just going to go 12 of the high E, 15, 12 of the B, right into a nice slow full step bend of that 14. Right, and then we're going to repeat that, and then finish the lick this time with something like that. Little roll there on the 12s, right? Rolling from the 12 of the D down to the 12 of the G. Finishing on the 14. Right, so that's the opening of the solo. Slow bend. Right, and then we're into this. So we're kind of repeating this lick 3 times, but we're starting on the 15 of the high E onto 17 of the B. And then we get into this little repeating pattern that we're going to repeat twice. Just sliding into 16 of the G and then down the 15, 17s of the B and the high E. Right, and then back to the 15 onto the 17 of the B. Repeat twice. And then we're into this. So 15, 17, full step bend of that 17 of the high E. And then finish the lick like that. Roll back down. Grab the 16, slide it back to 14. Off to 12. And then onto the 14 of the D. Right? From the top. Slow bend. Right, now we're going to drop back down to the 14 of the G and play a lick similar to that. Full step bend there. Very similar to a lick we played earlier. Right, those little rolls on the 12s, right? And then we're going to go back up to the, we're going to go up to the A string. Play a lick similar to that. Just kind of doing little hammer-ons down the 12s and 14s, right? Finish the lick with something similar to that. Sliding 15 into 17. Into something like this. Here on the 15s and 17s, B in the high E, starting on the 15. Kind of a little scale run down the pentatonic, right? And when you get to that 16 like we did before, we're going to slide it back to 14, then off to 12. And then when you go off to that 12, you're going to drop back onto the 14, give it a bend, and then grab the 15 of the B string with your pinky. Right, and then after you grab that 15, just a little play on the 12s and 14s of the D and the G. And then you drop into a full step bend here on the 14, and you kind of let this one ring. And then we're into this. So similar lick that we played earlier, right? On the 12 of the high E. But now we're going to drop onto the 15 for a full step bend that we're going to hold for a bit, right? And then you're going to repeat that lick again. But this time we're going to finish on the natural note here at 14 of the G. So from the bend. Repeat this lick again. Right, same lick we did earlier, right? Those little rolls on the 12. And then we finish the solo with this. Right, and again, a similar lick to one we played earlier, starting on the A string with the hammer-ons, right? And then you drop into the unison bends right at the end of the solo. Hit those twice, let them ring, do it again. Again. One more time. Play that lick. Right, same lick we played earlier, back into more unison bends. 4 times. Right, and that's all going on over this. And so that's the solo, and so let's take it from the top of the solo, nice and slow, and then we'll be done. And there you have it, my friends. That is how you play I'd Love to Change the World by 10 Years After and Alvin Lee. Certainly hope you enjoyed the video, found it helpful, and if you did, please hit that like button right down there. Maybe drop me a subscribe if you haven't done that already, as that would be very kind. Hope you're well out there in your little guitar corner of the world, wherever that may find you, and we will see you next time. Cheers.